Good morning. Welcome back. The show is Who Am I? And it's just, I don't even know what it is. Who am I? Who am I? It's a show where we just riff about anything, actually. It's a place where I can come and talk without resistance. In a place where I'm just spitballing, I'm throwing stuff out there. I don't mean to be. I'm in a funny mood about it today, and I'm going to share that with you. I've been thinking about how I wanted to do this. You see, I'm actually quite the innocent. I don't spend a lot of time on the internet. I know about trolls. But I hadn't actually experienced anything until yesterday. Actually, I had the first snarky comment on my website, on my channel. They accused me of being part of some cult or other, and they made some sort of an odd, impassioned plea defending the virtue of fossil fuel and accusing me of being some wackadoo who wants to just take us off into the land of solar panels and wind generation, and I don't remember what it was. I blocked the person, and I thought about it for a long time because it was unfamiliar to me. It was so the only reason I do the show, first of all, I'm not part of any cult. I don't belong to any group. There is no group around me. So there is no cult. There is no organizational force directly around me. You know? I speak of this organizational force. I talk about it, but I have not jumped into the stream in any particular way myself. I don't belong to a church. I do have a bowling team. So I guess there's some organizational structure there. I am part of a family. And so there's a very loving organizational structure there. And we are all trying to make our livings and make our way, make our decisions, make our purchases, make our, lives. I'm part of that, but I don't have any or other organizational structure. So anybody who's listening to me, just know that I'm spitballing. And you know what? I also don't, I'm not pushing back against anything or anybody, not even fossil fuel. It has brought us where it has brought us, and it's a meaningful vehicle for us. And it's got us to where it's gotten us, but it's not going to get us to where we need to go next, which is more energy. We need more energy. There's more and more people. And all of them want to live first world lives with climate control and the ability to transport themselves around the planet and the ability to purchase foodstuffs on the human marketplace, Our circulation system, our supply chain. To be able to engage in that with everybody else, buy the goat cheese from Tucumcari and the honey from Corrales and the tech from the valley, and I don't know. Everybody has something to contribute to the human supply chain, whether it's an idea or whether it's a physical good, like goods, like stuff. you're producing a product, a thigh master, or you're an intellectual and so you write books or entertainment. You do something, somewhere you feel compelled in some way to add to the value of humanity. Now, you may do it because you want currency, and you want to be able to spend that currency on the human market, somewhere, somehow. That's kind of how it all works, and fossil fuel has been a part of this. It absolutely has. I bless it. I do not curse it. If this person was seriously trying to defend fossil fuel, I have to say I'm not pushing back against it. I'm just saying it's not going to get us where we need to go. It's not enough energy, and the more we burn it, the more we're choke. It's like smoking, you know? I used to smoke. I enjoyed it. There was a moment when, and I'm actually not going, does not actually serve me to push back against that or that time. Just know that, hey, well, that was then and this is now, and I wouldn't smoke for anything in the world because it doesn't feel right to me, and I want to be able to breathe. So that's how I feel about that. I really am not pushing back against anything. Everything has value. There is baby everywhere. Be careful where you're throwing out the bathwater. And know that you're really just only able to declare what's bathwater for you and not what's bathwater for anybody else. But I'm just saying, if you sit in a very calm and allowing, non-resistant place, if you can get yourself into that state, and then restfully start imagining what the world could be like. Fossil fuel is going to have its place, maybe to some very, very diminished degree, forever. Just like you can still buy kerosene you buy it in the sporting goods places because you use it on things like hurricane lamps, which there are still such things. And you camp with them. They're a good backup in case full power goes down. And if you sit in this place and imagine what our lives could be like in a restful, allowing, flow it forward, so the addition of, do we understand what an over-unity device is? It's just a simple thing, and I'm only talking general. I'm talking general. I don't know how to make an over-unity device. These people put out a movie that I actually believe. I believe this movie, and because it actually is not just this movie. There are other sources that say that source energy could be tapped. Now, it's a big undertaking. It's like unto the understanding of electromagnetic fields that brought us the 20th century. And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying I know how to do it, but just the very idea that you could devise a device that could churn out work for you based on some principle or others. Now, some of them, and I've seen this in different, so in Thrive 2, in the movie Thrive 2, there was a guy who was from Africa, and he developed a device. It was about the size of it looked like what you see on a gas pump above ground, that little thing. It's about that big, and it put out enough whatever units of work it was putting out. I don't know how you measure those. It was enough to run about 300 homes, they said. And it was running on a frequency that exists out there in the ether somewhere, out there in the universe. Do you know what frequencies are out there? I don't. Well, this guy picked up on one that was a steady state frequency that was, he tuned his device to this frequency, and then he's just putting out energy. Now, it's not creating energy out of nothing. You'd be hard pressed to do that, actually. You would have to spin ether into a proton, or, and then somehow that would have some effect on all the rest of the protons, because they are all intertwined. They are all of the information is interconnected. You can't just create matter out of nothing. It doesn't come out of nothing. That's what it is. It doesn't come out of nothing. You'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere where there is nothing. There is either unorganized plonks in a solid field, I believe, the Dirac Sea, and that looks like space to you, or where it's organized into stuff, that looks like stuff to you. I can't get over being trolled. It's hard for me. What I wanted to do yesterday, when I looked at the comment that I got, and then I hid it because it kind of bothered me. But then now here I'm doing the whole show, almost answering this person. So they got their way. They got attention. Focus and attention is the currency of the universe, of the consciousness of the universe, which is what we're really talking about. We're not pushing back against fossil fuel. There will be some place for if you own an oil field. Well, not everybody's oil field is going to stay active, and that's good. And we should quit pulling it out from under the ocean. That's a terrible, terrible idea. Terrible idea, especially as lax as the rules got. When the Deepwater Horizon did what it did, that was just the biggest tragedy, and I could not feel that. That was so big. That was so big to me. I could not look at it. Horrifying. And then on top of it, us pumping millions of gallons of this crap. God only knows. It's proprietary, for God's sake. How can anything as intimate to all of us be proprietary because of economic, reasons? It was just, I couldn't, it was so monstrous I couldn't fathom it. It was just like some of the other things from my earlier life, like vivisection and stuff. So monstrous and so beyond my ability to do anything about it. I had to turn away from it. I had to quit looking at it. But we got to quit doing that. And the biggest reason why we're going to quit doing it is because we don't need to do that. Is because if we actually understand the field, the quantum field, and our cosmic selves, our cosmic nature, we will realize that there must be a way. There has to be a way. And I think that extraterrestrials are possibly, if they exist, and I have to tell you that it's one of those things I'm still taking on faith. I have never been in an extraterrestrial presence that ever made its presence known to me. And now my eyesight is getting worse. I'm either going to miss it entirely, or if I do see it, if it's just like from a distance, if I see it in motion, I need to have one of the little guys come up to me and shake my hand and say, you know what? Thank you very much for putting out the word, the real word, the word that we are all in this together. And it's all about energy, frequency, and vibration. And you can tune into anything. And there's all kinds of rat shit crap out there that you could tune into if you wanted to. Now, I'm not sure exactly where this person was coming from. Sincere ignorance. Trolling, really. Did I interpret it as a troll and they were just innocently trying to say something kind about fossil fuel? And, I don't know. I don't know. The thing is this is my show, and I'm only here just to sing my little canary call to the world. This is my addition to the world. This is my contribution. Now, I'm retired. I don't actually have to even do this, do I? Except I think everybody should give back in every moment. They should at least reflect back a wholesome light. Encourage others. Look hopefully and optimistically around you. Look for an opportunity to lend a hand somewhere, or at least pursue your own dreams from an optimistic perspective. I actually think if you would do that, your actions start producing a kind of beneficial organization around you that just in itself is wholesome and beneficial, and the world benefits just by your being alive. And you don't have to think about, what service have I done? Just pursue light yourself. What interests you? What makes you happy? I believe because it will link up with what the rest of the world likes too, If you're truly in touch with things that your inner being agrees with. We're going to get past the troll. I try to do this show kind of in an unconditional space, and I do a better job than others. Some days I do a better job than other days. And some shows I do a better job during different moments. I'm 17 minutes in. I've got plenty of show left. What is the show? The show is just an innocent question of the day. I do suggest that I'm talking about reality, but I want you to know that the show, I sound serious because I talk about real things like let's get off fossil fuel, let's understand over unity, let's connect to the field, let's know who I am, let's find our individual and collective power. But I'm not suggesting that we organize in any particular way. I'm suggesting that each one of us find our individual connection to our own tether to source, if you will. Find your own connection to your own source. And from that position, call your own way. Every one of us has to do it. You want to follow somebody else. I followed myself. You wouldn't believe the things, Every thing from Susan Power to Atkins, is his name David? Or is that's somebody else? I think he's a narrator. The guy who did the diet, I followed everybody's diet. And then you follow the gurus for a while. And then at some point you start maturing. And they all start ripening within you as you realize, oh, this is how it all comes together, and this is who we all are. And the whole point of the whole thing is to love one another, get along with one another as well as you can. And then if it starts getting dark, I distance myself from people who are I don't get involved. I had a choice of answering him. And maybe at some point I can, if I can figure out where I put him. Because I kind of hid it from view is sort of the way the little thing that I pressed in the channel. And so I think he's still there somewhere, and I could go find it and I could answer it if I want to. But he's hidden from me right now, so. Oh well, who am I? Who am I? Who are we? Who are we anyway? And what's the point of the show? I ask the question because there's actually a lot of interesting ways to look at this. I think we have a plug. I think we have it's almost a literal plug, but it's somewhere in our metasphere, if there is such a place. Our metasphere. And that plug is attached to our identity selves, where we answer the question, who am I? I am. And then how you are imagining that. That's where your plug is. And if you're plugging it into the matter real harshly, real attachedly, then depending on what happens, you feel very uncomfortable in the world. You know, if you are the physical form, I'm just going to take a pause really quick. All right. So before I go any farther, I just want to make sure that everyone listening to me understands that I'm not pushing a point of view. I'm really not. I'm just little me over here in my little corner. I guess I already said that. I belong to no organization other than a bowling league. And I have belonged to multiple bowling leagues in the past, but I don't know. I can feel the effect of that troll as that little insidious thing, you know, because I attempt to be unconditional in this show, and I attempt to hit vibrational heights, you know, just imagining things. So let's go back to imagining a world not without fossil fuel, but with us having energy sources that are way better than that, way cheaper than that, devices that seem to spin energy out of thin air. That's the kind of devices I'm talking about over Unity. I'm not talking about... The guy seemed to think I was talking about wind power and solar power, or the kinds of energy that we know are alternatives to fossil fuel. I'm now air quoting the word alternatives to fossil fuel. They are the allowed alternatives, the ones that we can still produce centrally and then sell through wires. I'm telling you from a dreamer's point of view. Now somebody's going to grab onto that and say, dreamer, that means it can't happen. Well, do you know what your imagination even is? Your imagination is vibrational downloads that you're getting from your real inner being, your real vibrational self that's in touch with the real world around you. Now, depending on how you're... everybody's imagination is kind of an echo coming from... But the thing is people are more or less clear with what it really is. And depending on how clear they aren't, their imagination spits out some pretty wild crap. But it all has a relationship to the truth. Actually, when you So who are we? Who are we? Sometimes I kind of emphasize that we're genetically modified creatures. Possibly genetically modified by some extraterrestrials 200,000 years ago. on a very geologically volatile planet that has had all kinds of things. Ice ages come and go, floods cover lands that used to have, vibrant civilizations. We have a history, we have a story that's so wonderful, that's so interesting. It's also terrible. It's all terrible. And if you focus that way, you prove it to yourself every day, 1,000 times over. I'm not claiming that the world is not shit. The world is shit. However, the world is also divine and glorious, and you make of it what you... it's up to you. It's a big mirror that's reflecting you. And so just know that. Just know that. We are all in this together also, and your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. And so if a troll pops up in your life, maybe, I don't know. I don't know how to translate this the same way Abraham knows how to translate this, but I do know that we are wonderful creatures. We are also mysterious creatures, and our biotech structure behaves in a certain way. And you get all kinds of teachers telling you things, and they're all describing the same elephant. And so, like, if you study Eckhart Tolle's pain body, that's a very interesting concept. I like Paul Levy's Wetiko does the same thing. It's the same kind of dark energy. There is a dark energy that we spin when we face the opposite direction of who we really are and then attempt to move forward. There's a kind of a dark energy we spin, and the trolls are out there just picking up the dark energy. They're bored. They don't really know what I'm really talking about. They clicked in for a few seconds, probably in a TikTok moment, kind of a attention span. I don't know whether this person listened to my whole thing or just listened for a minute and then went, this is bullshit, and tapped out a bunch of stuff and then went on and is not going to come back and even hear my answer. I don't know. I have no idea. I shouldn't be answering them, but I'm compelled to, so there's something to be said for the impulse, especially when you are not far from, when you're not in the habit of being in negative anything, and your negative whatever it is might be such a weak little impulse that it really is just a clarifying thing and not something that could run away with momentum. The people who are going to get the most out of my show are going to be the people who are already on this side of the spiritual plane. The ones who already know Gaia, the ones who already have heard the name of Nassim Haramein, the ones who have heard of Esther and the law of attraction, or maybe have even entertained entities such as Bashar. There's other ones out there, Theo, and most of the ones that I have heard of. Now, there could be dark, weird ones. There certainly could be, and if I was resonating that way, if that was where I was, then, I might be listening to wilder, weirder shit, but I'm in with the peaceful crowd, the open-minded, allow for pretty much anything as long as it's as long as it flows with the rest of it. It's not so out there that it doesn't jive with other things and other peaceful beings that I respect. Even people like Oprah, who has made a physical fortune. Now, I don't have a physical fortune. I'm just learning how to get clear about what I want. And then in small ways, move clearly from where I am to where I want to be. Even just clear things like we're setting up an Airbnb business for the winter. And hopefully next spring it will be up and running. Not only supporting itself, but producing enough of a surplus so that we can, in the dead of winter, we can add a bathroom to it, so that in the spring when we sell it, then it will have 2 bathrooms. And in the end, we hope to make tens of thousands of dollars more than we were going to make this fall by knee-jerk dumping the property because we felt like we have to. Instead, we have now a family project that we are working on collectively, all of us, and dealing with reality. And then as that spins out, I can bleed that into my show as I work with other people, working these formulas as to how to figure out who I am, where I'm standing on the grid, how to play this hand I've been dealt, for instance. Now, everything's going pretty well in my life. I could share that, but there also wasn't much to share. Now, right now, we do have this Airbnb project, and my theories about how you organize along spirit lines, organizing along... So what I mean about along spirit lines, I don't mean that the spirit is the center of the organization. That would be a religion. Or it should be a religion. I suppose it is a religion. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in our organization, as we're trying to organize amongst ourselves and each other, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half potential moving parts. 2.5 of those a little farther removed, but still involved in the project because they are still attached to the lifeblood of the family organization that is keeping all of us afloat. And we have that many members of the group at the moment. And they've got a project going on, and the project is this Airbnb. And so as we do it, the idea about the spirit being involved here is that every step of the way we keep our eyes clearly on the object of the exercise, and we have a project manager now. So the goals are set out in spreadsheet form with tasks dated and assigned here and there, and then with an organizational structure that keeps checking back in. How is everyone doing, and how are they coming along on their task that had to be done by X day? Are you on target to be there? And we have our day that the 25th has to have the pictures done, and then we want to be up and rented through Balloon Fiesta. It'll pay for the mortgage probably October and November. And then we keep renting it, and then we develop anyway, I don't have to get detailed on this. I'm just saying that the formulas work for me, the same ones I'm trying to discuss in my show, Who Am I? The formulas, what formulas am I talking about? Well, I talk about us as being a binary system, being a vibrational self, and then your physical self. And you actually have to pay attention to your vibrational self. She's telling you things, and you can ignore her all you want, but she's still going to be telling you things. And what she's telling you all the time is how she feels, and how she feels is positive. Period. That's what she's telling you. Now, you have a different world to deal with than she does, in a way. Because she's standing in a place where she can see everything. And she's in touch with everybody. And so, of course, she's optimistic. Of course, she thinks it's okay. But you are standing in a very different place. You're down in the labyrinth. And you don't actually know where the monsters are, and the messages she gives you are cryptic. The messages she gives you are cryptic. She's just pulsing out this gentle okayness. Okay, it's all okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But more than that, because she actually she is in touch with all the information of all the universe through the holographic field. You know, at some point I might take a break on the show, except for I do it for me. This is my oral meditation. Now, I could do it and then not post it publicly. I could do that and then it just becomes an archive. I already have an archive behind me of material, hundreds of hours actually by now, because I have coming up on 140, maybe close to 150 shows now. And all of them are over an hour. And most of them are over an hour and a half. And some of them are over 2 hours. I don't go that long anymore. I'm always less than 2 hours now. But that's a lot of hours. And I cover the whole field of what I'm trying to say to all of us, which is, first of all, we can get off of fossil fuel. And I'm sorry, mister, who thinks that fossil fuel is some kind of blessed natural thing because it's made of sunlight. Yes, it is. It is ancient sunlight. There's a wonderful book out there called Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight. And it talks about the burning of this fuel source. And it comes at it in I actually don't remember. I liked the book. That's what I remember. And I thought it was moving at the time. And I thought it was poignant in its description of what this all is. And if he really wants to assign some sort of mystical value to the blessed fossil fuel, tobacco is a natural thing too, but the smoking of it causes cancer and is really not good for the human lungs. And the burning of fossil fuel, natural as it might be, is not good for the lungs of planet Earth. It's not good for us in for a lot of reasons, and it creates a top-down, centralized energy paradigm, or continues it. I don't know if it creates it, but it is a fuel answer and an energy answer. You know what I ought to be doing? I ought to be telling this I ought to be targeting this more. I ought to be telling this show to potential physicists and mathematicians. Now, if I told it to the conventional commercial physicists and mathematicians, they would probably tell me that I'm a new age woo-woo idiot, or something perhaps more clever than that, but something along those lines. I would be arguing with them, and I don't want to argue with anybody about anything. As a matter of fact, I could just mind my own business over here in my own little corner of the world and possibly be fine with it. I could find something else to do, maybe. I don't know. Why do I make this show? So that my children will know who I am? When I die, they'll go back and listen to this and go, oh my God, look at what Mom was saying. Look at how cool she was. Look at how she was saying we're all in this together and we all form threads that are an important part of this fabric that we're all weaving together. And look at how cool it is. So I'm not a religious person, first of all. And if you are, God bless you, because actually you're not wrong either. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong, but I'm not a religious person. But what I have discovered in my not being religious, that there actually is a divine, loving, kind, beautiful, wise, intelligent force that is organizing us. Now, I'm not going to be the center of that organization, not in that way. I would advise that you all go forth and feel your way through life and do what feels right to you. And if your church organization feels right to you, then, joyfully participate in it and show them through your understanding where they are right, and help them lean into their rightness. The right part is the feeling, how it feels. Does it feel good? Does it feel right? Does it feel clear? Does it feel in alignment with, the rest of the workings? Do you feel in the flow? Does it feel good? Does it feel easy? Does it feel kind? Does it feel loving? Does it feel wise? Are you getting good ideas? You'll know. And if you're not there, then you'll know that too. And I'm sorry, whoever it was, that if you didn't like my show, please don't listen to it and comment it on anymore. Go find what lights your buzz and be joyful there. I don't mean to push my ideas on anybody, and I wish I was an electrician. I wish I was I married an electrician. I married someone who got their master's degree in electrical engineering and launches or used to launch rockets for a living, both for the Air Force and then directly working as a Air Force lieutenant colonel, and then later for the same organizations, but not working now for the Air Force, but with a private company working with the Air Force, doing the same things, with the same people, launching rockets into outer space as an electrical engineer and project manager. Actually, he turned into a project manager, getting things done. Here's the project. This is what we're doing. These are all the tasks that are involved that have to happen before, and you got to delegate it to all the organizations to do da. And now that mind is working on the Airbnb project, and I'm hoping that his expertise combined with my spiritual guidance, keeping all of us in a good frame of mind, we make sure that we are well fed, that we know that we love each other, that we're all in this together, that we are all part of a team that has a single focus and a single objective that we are all agreed on is a good idea and that we're all going to participate in. And to that service, we are going to continue to make sure that all mortgages are being paid and that everyone stays out from under the bridges and out of the bread lines and all of that. As long as we are able to do this, as long as everyone is part of this loving team with the same objectives in mind, that we all love each other and we figure it out and we go forth and we do our best and yada, yada, yada. And you know what? If you stay in that general place and find your clarity in it, it is my belief, and I will keep you updated as the year goes by, that you can just get things done, that you can just walk to, and you don't get it wrong because it's never done. And so as we may shift, and even if at some point, we are going to sell the house, the idea at the moment is to sell the house. But to sell it for more than we could if we just knee-jerk dumped it on the market right now. It had been on the market for a while. And so to continue to have it be on the market, people are going to say, well, why is it still on the market? Well, I don't think that the realtors did a very good job when they launched it, as a matter of fact. And the energy behind the launch was just not the right enthusiasm. And so we missed a moment. But on the other hand, since things are always working out for us, it's very possible this is a better idea. So we pull it off the market, turn it into a business. Next spring, we sell it, put it back on the market as an ongoing business. And someone can either live there and Airbnb the casita that they can share the bathroom with. Ooh, I know how to do that. Make that put a door. Yeah, that's it. A door to the outside. That's a perfect idea. They can live there and they can rent the casita as income to help them pay their mortgage. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So we're all focused. We're all focused and we're all clear and we all love each other. And the love part is really important, and the taking care of yourself is really important, because each one of us is an important part of this equation. Take care of you. Honor you. Plug yourself into source. Understand your own equipment so that you can understand your own positive and negative emotions. Your negative emotions simply mean that the thoughts that you're thinking, you're glommed onto thoughts that are not big thoughts, that are not attached to anything important, that are not attached to anything that is going to flow you down a happy stream. So what do I do about it? Well, I addressed it, and you know what? I'm over it. I don't care about the troll. I'm not going to let comments that are largely negative, snarky, or strange be visible on the website, because I don't want to be a hub of extraterrestrial, my main thing is source energy. It's the idea that love is what's pulling us all together. We are all in this together. This magical, divine quantum field that connects us all is like to you, with your equipment, the whole thing's like a mirror. It is like a mirror. And so you're getting back what you put out, whoever you are. And that is, after I don't know how many hundreds of hours of views I've had on my show and all the comments that I have had, that is the first negative comment I have ever had, and I am grateful for that. I want this to be a forum of non-resistance. We're just in this place of non-resistant thought. We're spitballing. We're flying. We take our conscious machines up off of the surface of the planet. We're circling the planet. We've still got our eyes on reality. We're not talking about any real extreme specifics. We're flying through the general. For the most part, generally, what's my design? Generally, what are the laws of the universe? Generally, where did we come from? I'm a general. It is up to others to take that and go specific. I have a fun time in the general, and as a general, I'm just putting together a couple of big general concepts, and it's for others to get more specific about things. Honestly, it is for me to just... Well, I've got my specific projects on the ground here. And then I have my little semi-specific, semi-general project. Who am I? Who are we? I think that where human beings appear to have issues, it's coming from where we don't understand ourselves. And we don't understand the world around us. And we don't understand better ways to extract work from the 0-point energy field. I think we can do a better job. I'm sorry if it offends people who want us to stay on fossil fuel. We will continue to use fossil fuel. Well, there's way too much infrastructure across the planet to be completely getting rid of fossil fuel for quite a while. I can see that, And whatever has to be, will be, I'm not actually even advising anything lurchy, If we just understood, if we just started to understand that, first of all, over unity is possible. How about that? Then if anybody comes up with an over unity device, I would tell them, don't go to the patent office, just start making them. Put the design out on open source it so that we all can see the design. There's somebody out there who knows how to do this. And I'm hoping that the algorithm of the universe, the great algorithm of the universe, will meet my show with them. And they'll go, oh, this is a good idea. I will open source this. Get everybody started, building over unity devices so that they can go out into the desert or out into the wilderness, whatever, and have their own little source of energy. And then they can have their own little club, their own little cult, their own little tribe, their own little gig, as they rebloom the world around them. Create cool destinations for other people to visit with their great ideas, Because I think that's what the tapestry of the world is going to be in the end. We're going to come up with what we need is more energy. That's what the problem is. Fossil fuel just isn't enough. And we should leave most of it in the ground anyway, because it is like Gaia is smoking, and she needs to kick the habit. Is the occasional cigar, the worst thing in the whole world? Maybe not. Is a 5-pack a day cigarette habit a terrible thing for somebody's lungs? Absolutely. So we need to get Gaia off of that. But are we going to get completely off of fossil fuel or any of this stuff any moment soon? I don't see it. I don't see it happening anytime soon. When I look around the physical world, I do not see it. So these things that I'm saying, I have heard these ideas though. And I'm going to point you to where I come up with these ideas. The first one is the movie The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. Go watch it. And see whether you believe that over unity is possible. I believe it. You can put out more energy than you are taking to run a machine. And our patent office and our government and our economic structure, our petrodollar economic structure is not letting us do that. Or at least I believe that. Maybe I am completely wackadoo. You know what the alternative is that it is only a choice between we've got to go back to our agrarian roots and just be satisfied with that. Tag into, the cosmos and just be fine with, I don't know. I don't see that happening. And I don't see the babies not being born either. People want to have babies. People want to have sex. People want to have babies. So I don't see that stopping anytime soon either. And so we're 7, maybe 8 billion people heading for 9, probably 10 billion people. And many of them third world, which up to this time has meant they don't have access to the infrastructure and the energy and the technology and the resources that the first world has had. What with the mail being what it is, now stuff on the market, on the supply chain of humanity can reach all of the corners of the world. And so that's starting to not be true anymore. But still, there's the infrastructure and the energy. The energy. They want the energy. They want to be first world. They want to have iPads. They want to have iPhones. They want to be able to transport themselves around the world and see what's really going on. They want to understand themselves. They want to understand us all. They want to understand the bigger picture and the whole situation. Who doesn't? But if we geared them all up with the kind of energy use, the kind of fossil fuel energy use that the first world uses, then you can't have If we're all first world, then none of us are first world because there isn't enough fuel for all of us. And we dig up, we destroy the planet living that way. Living the way the first world does destroys the ecosystem that was there. It turns whatever wildwood into... But you know what? We don't have to live the way we live. If we had access to better sources of energy, and I'm not talking about solar energy and the kinds of pre-approved fossil fuel alternatives. That's not the kind of energy I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of energy that most people don't believe in. I'm talking about a kind of magical energy, if you will. It's not really magical energy. I'm just talking about the kind of energy sources that we haven't really tapped yet, collectively. Things like devices that, running on a steady state frequency out in the ethers, spits out enough energy to run 300 homes. Or, if you believe what's being said in the movie The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, as they are talking about how we have been led to believe that certain kinds of devices are not possible when they are absolutely possible. I'm just saying, I think they're possible. I believe that they are possible. I could be... Well, I don't know. It jives to me, though, because let's go back and listen to what Abraham says about the steps of creation and this vibrational universe that we're living in. Step 1, we ask. We ask for answers to our dilemmas, to our problems, to our desires. Answers. We are desire seeking. We are moving towards our desires kind of machines. And if we could get clear about what we want and not contradict our desires with our beliefs about our desires. Now, because we are complex thinking machines, our beliefs are a lot of what we construct the pictures of our desires out of. And so it's kind of tricky to get those things untangled. You know, I want money, but nobody I know knows has any money. Nobody that I know even knows how to make money, how to get any money. None of us have any money. And so we don't know how to get any money. And so how do you get money from that position? Well, that's an interesting question. Hold on, I'm going to pause for just a second. Well, the answer to that is you don't start there. You don't start there. Think about, okay, I am a being that is built to move towards preferred and to discern in the field what aspects of the world they prefer, and then figure out how to move in the direction of the preferred. That's who you are in a nutshell. But the way that your equipment works is that life causes you to understand what you prefer. You live a little bit of war and you understand that you want peace. And you live some poverty and you want more money. Life causes you to ask for more. And apparently, how you ask is vibrational. You send off these vibrational rockets of desire, is how Abraham describes them. But I see it as, so you felt a negative emotion and you sent your inner being registers it as I call it the implicate positive. The implicate positive to the negative that you just vibrated. because your inner being can't be negative. There is no negative about your inner being. It is simply a vibrational read on all that is, with a capital I, no negative there. And it's looking at possibilities and what it's interested in, and hopeful things, and what could be, and what everybody else wants. It's looking at my desire and everybody else's desire too. But it's looking at reality, not necessarily my twisted, absurd fantasies about reality. How clear are you in your head about what the reality around you is, and what you can and cannot do? And if your positive and negative feelings are all jumbled up in your interpretation of the world around you, your order is mixed up. You're getting the order of the world out of order, and you are out of order. You are in chaos. That's how it works. And so how do you get clear? You have to get clear in yourself about what you want, about where you are, what you want, where you're going. And so you don't want to be going for things that, I want this, but I don't want this. I want to be a billionaire, but I don't really want to be an asshole to the world. I want to own all these multinational companies, but I don't want to, because I think billionaires are creeps. Or, you have mixed emotions. You have a thought going this way and another one crossing it, going the other direction. It's mixed energy. That's what's causing your negative emotion. That's what's causing your stalemate in the world. That's what's causing you to not know you want it, and it's causing the flow of you to back up. And if you just leave it there, you get your daily dose of daimonic energy. And if you don't do something with it, it turns into demonic energy. That's kind of a Paul Levy idea, this daimonic energy. It's this flow of source that you're getting every day, this energy. And if you're backed up, if you're clogged up, if you want it, but, in other words, you've got one thought going this way, I want this thing that I cannot have. And then another thought going this other way, I can't have it because nobody that I know can have it. That's just a for instance of how those lines could be crossed. Now, one of the reasons that your lines might be crossed is that the goal that you have is actually absurd and not really what you want. What you want is something that will produce the feelings in you that you like so much. And you're imagining that object that you want is the object that's going to do it for you. But it is possible that you have conceived of this incorrectly. And when you get the object, you're going to hold it in your hand, or, drive it out of the driveway or whatever, and it's not going to do for you what you think it's going to do for you. Or it will do it for an afternoon, and then you're still left with the same problem. You've got to keep moving through life, and this is just not the vehicle anymore. So the object of the exercise, you got to understand who you are. You are a goal achievement machine. You are a dream weaving machine. And you need to cast your line out far enough in front of you so that you are interested and excited about your goal, but not so far that you don't believe that you can accomplish it. You can see it, oh, I can see this. I can do this. This is interesting, and it's a bit of a leap, but we can do this. I see this. And then as you keep doing this, you start learning who you are. Who are you? What do you like? What's the win-win position for you? And remember, if you're looking for the win-win position, and it is one of my pet ideas, is I believe that we're looking for the win-win position. The win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win position. Actually, The win-winningest position that we can find is the one we're looking at. But you got to remember that when you're looking for the win-win position, you can't leave yourself out of it. You've got to win too. If you didn't win, then it's not a win-win. It's a lose-win. It's a win-lose. It's just flipped around. It's a lose-win, not a win-lose. It's still the same thing, and you don't want to win-lose. You want to win-win. You need to win too, so add yourself in as a winner. You can be a winner, and you deserve to be a winner. Whoever you are, whatever you're being, however you're being, we all deserve it. We are all in this together. All of the creeps and the jerks and the trolls and the madmen, the people who misunderstand the message of peace and love and universal consciousness, and we are all in this together, and there is plenty of energy at the 0-point energy field. Do you know what the 0-point energy field is? Well, science is coming to understand more of its significance. It's the Dirac sea. It is the resting state of energy everywhere, even when there is nothing happening, even at 0 Kelvin, at the absolute zero, even there, when nothing in the material world is moving, this roiling sea of Plancks is still almost infinitely energetic. Even at complete rest, there is no place in the universe where this roiling sea of energy is not. In Star Trek, they call it subspace. That's what they're calling it, subspace. And the way that they transmit information across the stellar spaces is through subspace channels. That's what they're talking about. They're going across this quantum field. Subspace. Interesting. The 0-point energy field. And I believe that it can be directly tapped in order to, plug our devices, our technologies that we come up with, our lamps and our air conditioners and stuff. I think we can plug them directly into source energy, which is everywhere. But I don't know how to do that. I think we need to set our national physicists on that task, because that would be absolutely amazing. Then all of a sudden, we don't have to trade in the energy. Now, some people will say, oh, but that's a great organizational force, this trade in energy. It has been a big organizational force, that's true, but it's a really dirty one. It's a really dirty, dangerous one. I'm sorry. This may be blessed formerly life, but now when you slurry it into pipelines and pipe it across aquifers, it's not safe and it's not clean and it's not holy and wholesome. Sorry. Did not mean to I should probably have kept the comment up, because if I'm going to spend all day commenting on the comment that I took off that you can't see, then that's just foolishness. Who am I? And then I had somebody else, and I didn't take this person's comment off. They focused a little more in on the extraterrestrial stuff, which I think that this genetic modification that I point out in human chromosome number 2, that little bit, that implies to me extraterrestrial intervention at some point in our, and I find that really interesting. But I personally don't focus there. That's not where I want to focus. Although there is a lot of people that like to focus there, and God bless, go focus there. And occasionally I'll watch your shows on Gaia too. But for the most part, I'm interested in what this all means to a person's life. Our design that literally is, we have an overview mind. And everybody knows it, and they all describe it in different ways. It's like our overview mind is like the elephant everybody's trying to describe. Some people say Holy Spirit over here. Some people over there go right out and say the G word, and they assign it an otherness to themselves, because sometimes it feels like this force is with them, and sometimes it feels like this force is not with them. And they don't realize that the difference is the thoughts that they are taking, the thoughts that they are thinking, because they are a direct relativity to a vibrational self that is anchored right where they are. So it doesn't actually ever go anywhere else. It's just sometimes in their physical brains, their thoughts tune in that direction, and sometimes they don't tune in that direction. But the broadcast coming from your vibrational self is always happening, whether you are tuned into it or whether you are not tuned into it. And everybody, all of us with our descriptions of who we are and how this works, we're all just blind men describing an elephant, Eckhart Tolle has a great description of the elephant as he talks about the pain body and this negative energetic self that seems to have a life of its own. And when it starts to lag in energy, it picks a fight so that it can get somebody else's pain body up, so that we can exchange some energy fields, some negative energy fields here, and plump our negative self back up, so that we can keep being our negative self, driving the body and the negative self. It's really interesting to study the way he has got the whole thing described. Paul Levy's got a real interesting story. And the way he came to his story gives you a really good view of the picture from the inside out. And he had a psychologically abusive father that didn't really click into his psychological abuse until the son tried to disengage and differentiate himself from his father and the family, and go his own way, as people will. And then his father became incredibly psychologically abusive, to the point that Paul had a schizophrenic crack up and ended up in a mental institution, and some really, really crazy things happened. Dreamlike, crazy ass things where people around him were tagging into this insanity that was going on in his own mind, up to he cured a blind woman, all in his insanity. All you have to do is, open your eyes and look, and the weird things were happening. People were... Anyway, his story is wonderful. He came out of his crack up, which the medical field thought that he would be institutionalized forever because he had this really, really, really serious problem, when actually that wasn't what the problem was. The problem was a lack of understanding of who everybody was. Certainly the father did not understand how everyone was designed and what was appropriate and not appropriate and such. But Paul found his way back through the means of Buddhism and the teachings of Carl Jung and his psychology, his wisdom and such. What was his other factor? He has another factor, quantum physics, and the understandings of quantum physics, and the understanding of this quantum field is basically, it can give you some understanding of your own behavior and the behavior of others. so that you don't get lost in the negative shit of the world. You know, you can find a place where you can step back from it and get some relief and understand, oh, that's what's happening. You know, step back in a positive place. There is always a positive place for you to step back into safely, and then from that vantage point, you can understand the negative world. You are a positive being. You are a positive being. And one of the reasons I bring up Paul Levy is because I love his idea of Wetiko. He sees Wetiko as this psychic blindness. It's this condition that human beings, it has to do with the human design. It has to do with both the human design and the quantum field, the truth about our quantum nature. Our self made of vibrational plonks, our self as a field winking in and out and linking up with. Well, just go read his books. He's got great books. I liked his book, Quantum Revelations, I think that's the name of his book, Quantum Revelations. Really liked that book. He does a lot of citing of the founding fathers of quantum physics as he talks about really interesting things that maybe you didn't know, like our founding fathers of quantum physics, more than one of them thought that it was a valid exercise to develop their ability to lucidly dream, and then in their lucid dreams do physics experiments. How's that for blowing you away? You know, wow, that is over the deep end. And yet we call these people the smartest people that we know. They're the ones that gave us the math that gave us the 20th century. I think Nassim Haramein has given us the math that's going to give us the 21st century. We're still regurgitating the 20th century, and I'm sorry to see us doing this, because I see a lot of infrastructure that demonic Shiva Loki energy is going to knock down because it doesn't support us all. There's plenty of people right now who are trying very hard to monetize in this environment, and it's not all that easy. Even though in some ways it's easier than it has ever been, because there is a multiplicitude of choices. You know, you can be a healer, but, you know, once we all get well, that job is not going to be quite in so much demand, although there will be aches and pains ongoing forever. And, you know, those of us who are trained to, you know, like chiropractors and things, I suppose we will always have need for some healers and adjusters and aligners. But it's not going to be as, you know, right now it's a really big calling because there's a lot of people who are out of sorts. You can also do things like you can design video games, or you could, what all could you do? You could be a YouTube influencer, you could be a blogger, a food blogger, you could be a fiction novel writer, you could be a nurse or a milkman or a fireman, or I don't know, I'm drifting off. Who am I? Who am I, and what's the meaning of this show? Well, in a way, this is an oral meditation for me. This is me venting to the world. This is me being both conditional and unconditional. In a way, it's me giving back too, because this is helping the organization of the family structure that we're working on right now, and its little family business project, and how well that's going to shake out. It's helping me to see the organizational structure of life itself and to understand, to know in my heart now that even though I'm not a religious person, I profoundly believe in this organizing force. There is an organizing force that you can use to any venture that you desire, anything that you want to accomplish. Do you want to build a tree house in the back of on your 5-acre property? You got some land back there. Do you want to build a tree house back there? Or do you want to start a really cool a tea house in town? Or do you want to, because I'll tell you what I think the shape of the future is going to look like. If we have a better, cleaner, more a fuller energy source, something that you don't have to dig up, refine, ship to, and then burn. You know, there's an awful lot of energy lost in all of that. Now, a lot of organizational structure was developed as you did that supply chain. And that organizational structure is going to fall away because it's not going to be organized that way anymore. But what is going to happen is everybody's going to have all the energy at their fingertips, and now they can go out and do whatever they want to. They can go out, and that orchard proposition now has a chance of producing fruit that, you know, even if you're only selling it for a couple of dollars a pound, you can still absolutely support yourself and your family and maybe a few family adjacent beings. You know, be they spouses or pets or, you know, whatever. We have a wonderful future in front of us, but I do think that we need to add to the energy supply. Fossil fuel isn't enough. And so even if you don't see it as pushing back against fossil fuel, see it as adding to the energy stream. Humanity needs more energy to make their dreams come true. We could fix the climate change issue. We could resequester carbon. But if you're using fossil fuel energy to resequester carbon that has been released because of burning fossil fuel, you're going one step forward, 2 steps back, and you aren't going to get anywhere with it. You need a different energy source. You just do. Sorry, mister. I'll get over it. Next show, I won't talk about him at all. To be trolled. Somebody's going to know that they're going to get it. They can get under my skin now. Just troll me, and I will address your questions. Who am I? Who am I, and what am I about today? Yesterday we played golf, and actually I did a good job. I had a couple of pars. Didn't have any birdies, but I did have a couple of pars. And not even just my pars. We've decided that my par is bogey golf. For me, a par for me is a bogey. And if I make a par for me, which is a bogey, that's a good thing. If I make a bogey, that's like, I did good. Now, I do have plenty of mulligans and stuff, and I still count my pars even if I used mulligans. If I hit 2 shots off the tee and I made par with one of them and the other I had to go find the ball and pocket it, I still call it a par. So I'm not really there yet, but I did have some good shots and it was a good day. Today we're going back to the Airbnb project. We're going to help, pull it together because we're taking pictures in just like 3 days. Ooh, I think today might be the first day of fall. Hold on, let me see. What is the date today? It is the 21st. I think it is the first day of fall. So who am I? Who am I? And what is the thrust of my question? Is it who are we? It really is who are we. I don't usually talk about who am I except in general terms, because I have to use myself as it's my example, just like Abraham uses Esther as their example. Who else would they use, as an example to the impulses that you're getting from your source self? You have a source self. Maybe that's the whole crux of my show, is to tell you that you have a source self. You have a vibrational higher perspective that is connected to the win-win position of all things. Pay attention to her. She will help you find the cooperative components to your desires. Small, and then bigger, and then bigger, and then maybe big. Maybe at some point you are building a castle instead of designing a button. Right now we're pulling together an Airbnb, and it is my theory that a good, positive, not crossed energy, love flowing with the field energy will cause it to be a success. That we will get all the right impulses to do all the things that we need to do to raise our awareness, to create a good product. And as we run across the snags and pitfalls that physical projects inevitably bring, that we will handle them one by one with the appropriate impulses and the loving impulses. I don't want to say that same word again because it's so redundant. Just keep it flowing in a loving, supportive spirit, because it's all family members, for one thing, and it's all the family members and their significant others and child. And so it is a love project, and it is keeping us all going, and we do all want this to go. And it is absolutely possible. So we're casting our line out far enough. It's interesting, and we're all engaged in it. The problems would ever come if we let our energy cross and we get angry at one another, and that's us now not flowing with our inner beings, who are not angry but only ever always looking at what is possible and the win-win position. And so if we get used to doing the same thing, then we are in alignment with our true selves, and we are getting all the right impulses and ideas are dropping into our heads about what would be a great idea, what's possible. You see how that works? Who am I? It's a really good question. It's a valid question. It's a question valid enough to ask every single day. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of this episode, I'm going to apologize a little bit. It was a weird episode. I didn't just jump into the plane or into the starship and head for outer space like I usually do. I stayed closer to the planet, and I kept talking about a troll that I couldn't get over. And now I've talked myself over it, and I'm totally fine. I'm absolutely fine. I'm still fine with the Who Am I project, as a matter of fact. And what it is that I'm doing with my life and with this little show that I do, as I follow what's going on in our lives. And I use the formulas that I talk about. The formula being, first of all, okay, this is a formula. Your real self is always positive. So what does this mean about the meaning of your negative emotions? It means that only you, small you, are in this place. You are there by yourself in this place. Doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong, but it means you're in a field of territory that your inner being is not interested in. And so there is no positive momentum from the field to garner from this position. Now, there is such a thing as negative momentum, and you can build a good negative momentum, and there is such a thing as negative synchronicity. And there is such a thing as negative objectives and there is a huge negative storm of chaos and organization. People who believe that X, Y, and Z is true about the world, and they're angry about it, and they're collecting, and they're sharing information, and they're trying to organize from the outside and force everybody else to organize in such a way. And then at the top of a ticket like that, you have to put a strong person who you give all the power to, and then they say what goes where, and we all organize, and that's how. And that's the other force that is moving in this field. So all very interesting. Who am I in all of this? I believe that actually the forces of independence and diversity and all of that, I think that's actually the side that needs to win here. We don't want the groupthink and lockstep. It does create a kind of order. I will give you that. There is a kind of peace and order that appears on the streets for a minute. Although, if you look at it, the extreme law and order people, which were the Nazis, were extreme law and order people. And what happened there? It devolved into extreme chaos and disorder. And they brought absolute destruction to the world. So that side of order is really it's not the sustainable way. Although you could lock into a kind of outside order that could last for centuries. It's happened before. The Roman Empire was pretty stable for a while, the way that it was ordered. And it was an outside, a centralized, outside, top-down organizational force. North Korea is a little more stable than we wish it was. We wish that had devolved into something that had, that we could, I don't know. That I will leave for another day. That sounds like a whole can of worms to talk about such a thing. We just want to talk about the general. Who am I? Who am I? Turns out I'm a vibrational being in a vibrational universe. I have an aspect of myself that is purely vibrational and in touch with all things, in touch with the desires of all things, in touch with the biofield of the planet, in touch with the morphogenetic field of humanity, knows who we all are, what we all want, and where all of that wanting intersects. That's actually where your inner being is sitting. And it is up to you to take that intersection point and flesh it out into a win-win for you. A win for you and a win for everyone else too. A win for you that doesn't equal a loss for everyone else. That's your job. Find the win-win position. At least that's what I think. And I think collectively, our job is to find sustainability, to find a way to be here tomorrow and the next year and the next year and next century and a century after that and 1,000 years from now. Have a wise humanity that knows who they are and is generously and bounteously co-creating with the rest of the biofield of this planet. We will have created the most fabulous theme parks and game preserves and wildlife sanctuaries and walking trails and magical spaces. We can do this, but we need more energy. We need more energy, and we need the energy that we have to be cleaner than the energy that we're using right now. Are we going to stop using fossil fuel? Well, not all at once, and not tomorrow, but we can start by adding other energy sources, over unity devices, for instance, and have our technologists, our commercial physicists and mathematicians start working on the problem that we won't even admit is solvable. We won't even admit that it's possible to plug into source energy or to create an over-unity device. Let's admit that one first. And then call out to all the people. There's over 300 million in this country alone. There's 8 billion on the planet. Let's solve our energy problem. What's the big deal here? The reason is that there's some people that want to own the world. They want to say so about everything. They want to buy the politicians. They want to own the private islands. They want to be the ones that get the billion-dollar yachts and nobody else. And F the planet. Who cares that we're killing everything? I control whatever's left, and there's plenty for me to play with. I don't know if people really think that, but it kind of seems that way. But maybe it's because they don't know what's possible. They don't believe what's possible. I really, 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 really believe that it is possible to extract energy directly from the source of all things. I believe somehow that has to be possible. We are springing forth from everything. All of reality is springing forth from this source. I think we can tap into it and fuel our society. It's going to change everything. People aren't going to be so dependent upon the group. There's going to be a lot more tribal things going on. People are going to scatter into the fields and form their groups, settle up. They have their set of machinery, basic machinery that you need to grow a pod tribe, and you go settle on the bank of a river somewhere out there, anywhere on the public land somewhere. You set up your generating machines for your farm equipment, and you grow your orchards, and you control your climate, and you can move around and interact with. You produce your goods and services, your goat cheese or your cherries or your apples or whatever it is. You're weaving beautiful textiles or whatever. You put it up on the supply chain of humanity, and you trade for the goods that you don't have. It's going to be different than it is now. It's not going to be as centralized. And that's going to be a blessing. We want that because it's creating our geopolitical, our political issues in this in this country. How we've got this authoritarian wannabe. And you know what? Next time we're gonna have another authoritarian wannabe that's gonna want to be the one who says, the strong man at the top of the ticket, at the top of that philosophy, the philosophy that says if we hand all of the power to a single individual, they can coordinate it better as to their vision, and if we elect the person with the right vision, they will save us. That's what that philosophy tells you. And I don't actually believe that that's what's going to save us. I think the diversity is going to save us. All the jillions of good ideas, everybody plugged into source and solving the problem in their own way from their own position. That's what I think is going to save us. If indeed we even need saving. It all depends on who you listen to. I think we are killing the planet. Our human activity is killing the planet, whether you love fossil fuel or not. Human activity is killing the planet, and it's the way we do our infrastructure, it's the way we do our energy. The way it just is. But we can change this. We can re-green the planet. We can re-garden Eden. I know we can. We can make it into the 21st, the true 21st century, not just the chronological one. And on and beyond. And that is my prayer, and that is my hope. Now today, sometimes I get more whimsical, and my show is, you can feel it more. You can see it. You get soft, gentle, poetic something about it. Today was a little more, and I'm sorry about that. Tomorrow I will do better, or I won't post. As a matter of fact, I may not post this one. We'll see. I have to think about it. There was some good stuff in here today as I explained about, working the formulas and, the example of what we're doing in our life and how I work these formulas, how the idea of love being the organizing force of the universe, how you use a thing like that to make a project that you've got going on work. How do you use your knowledge of love being at the basis of everything to make your project work? That's and my ongoing descriptions of how we work with that. Maybe that will be helpful in the Who Am I project. So I see I'm well past an hour and 30 minutes. I'm even an hour and 40 minutes past. So I'm going to go ahead and take off because we have work to do this morning. Lots of work to do this morning. And I got to take a shower and we got to do breakfast. And then we got to do some work on the Airbnb project. Get that going. I'll let you know how it goes. Fill you in tomorrow on how that is progressing. So until tomorrow, you do your best. Do your best to stay in harmonious concert with your vibrational greater self, because she really is trying to guide your steps. Well, she is guiding you. It's just, are you tuning into the guidance, or are you just leaving that broadcast unlistened to? That's really the question. Who am I? And I'll be back to ask it again tomorrow, and again and again and again. And until then, please love yourself, love each other. We are all in this together. And until tomorrow, may the source be with you.